stomach disorder segment, specifically heartburn, indigestion, and more upper GI stuff. There's a lot of lower GI problems that we're covering on a different video, like irritable bowel syndrome, anal fissures, and hemorrhoids and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about the top part of the stomach today. Now, almost all of my chronic disease patients or chronic illness patients have some type of stomach problem because you are what you eat, or maybe you are what you absorb, but what you're putting into your system, if we can't get it to the right place, you don't feel very good. So a couple things to consider about that. Number one is we may want to make sure we're putting the most healthy things as possible into your stomach. And I was talking with a gentleman the other day that termed it perfectly: the closer your food is to earth, the least amount of steps possible. If you're picking it right out of the ground or right out of your garden or from the farmer's market, it's a lot healthier than if it's processed and goes through a supermarket system and it's shipped across the country. And if it's pre-digested, prefabricated, pre-synthetic, if it's one step away from being plastic, it's not good for your system either. But so many stomach problems start by not chewing correctly. Now, we had a patient that said that they had solved their chronic health and indigestion problem for chewing their food more. And I said, how many times are you chewing your food? And he said 25 to 30. And I looked at him and I think, man, I don't know if I've ever chewed food that much. I went in and did a whole bunch of research, and that's actually a pretty good recommendation. If you're having stomach problems, chew your food a lot more. Make sure you're getting enough water that you can actually get everything to move through and avoid well, I was going to say cancer, but that's not the right word. I was going to avoid acidic foods, specifically soda pop, diet soda pop. You're taking acid, you're putting in acid environment. It actually really disrupts the normal chain events that happen in your stomach. Now, if you're having acid reflux, heartburn, and indigestion, one of the things that you want to determine is which is it? Is it too much acid that's being generated, or is it not enough of the right type of acid? Because if you're putting food in your system and it doesn't break down, it'll sit there, it'll ferment, it'll rot, and it'll decay. It can't go south, so it comes north, and that's where you get all that heartburn and indigestion. And so one of my favorite things to do for people is to give them a proteolytic enzyme to help break down the food. Now, a natural, non-invasive, really inexpensive way to test that hypothesis to see if you're having the wrong type of acid is to use some Bragg's natural apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon in half a glass of water after meals. If it helps your digestive process, one, either keep doing it because it's hard to argue with results, or you can switch to some type of a pill or a tincture that helps to break the food down. And that's what I typically do. I have a mild case of heartburn. It's totally controlled by some enzymes. If I take the enzyme, it helps to break down the food. You don't get the burping and belching that you have, or you don't get the flatulence going out the other end because you're digesting things in a timely manner. The opening on the bottom of the stomach opens up because the food's digested, everything drops down. You don't have that decay or acid reflux that's going up. Now, the flip side is if you take the proteolytic enzyme or the apple cider vinegar and it makes it worse, it means you have an overstimulation of the vagus nerve. You're actually having hyperchlorhydria, which means too much acid. And phosphorus is a mineral that helps to downregulate the vagus nerve. It's really helpful in people that are producing too much acid. And too much acid happens about 20% of the time. Not enough is about 80% of the time. Now, some things that you can really help to calm the stomach down. You can use a really neat product. It's called Bottled Sunshine. You can do some what called morlite clay or some bentonite clay. And what happens is the A, D, E, and K that are in Bottled Sunshine help to heal and soothe irritated GI tissue. And the bentonite clay and the morlite clay, what it does is it acts like a lint roller, and it just gets rid of stuff that's in your system. I also really like the herb slippery elm and okra because it acts, again, to pull out stuff out of the crevices of the lower GI system and helps to get you regular. Sometimes you need a little bit of magnesium sulfate or some Epsom salts, or you can even use vitamin C to get everything to open up a little bit further down. That Bottled Sunshine is so amazing for helping GI disorders heal in the upper part. And if it is a bacterial problem, you can use a wonderful homeopathic called anacardium, which has the antidote for the H. pylori bacteria. You want to help with your immune system if you think there's any ulcer considerations. So lots of water, digest the food, making sure that you get a proteolytic enzyme. If that aggravates it, which is not very common, you can use phosphorus to downregulate. Now, some really neat treatment options for people that have really bad upper GI problems. One is there's something called pulsed electromagnetic frequency therapy, which is a magnet therapy which basically helps to charge up unhealthy cells. It's an external therapy. It's not painful. It really helps. It's almost like a stomach massage. The only real contraindication is you can't be pregnant and you can't have a pacemaker because it is a magnetic therapy. There's also an amazing nerve reset therapy that you can do where you can inject superficially in the skin underneath the stomach, over the stomach area. And what it does is it makes the nerves open and close and reboot. Acupuncture I've seen to be really, really effective. And then, of course, stress management. Is there an outlet for things that are building up inside your system? Are you doing prayer? Are you meditation? Are you doing your best to forgive others? Are you journaling? All of those things I see really, really good outcomes for stomach problems.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you'd like more information, education, or want to work with us, head over to bestmedicaloptions.com. And if you want to help to reach, teach, and heal the world, leave a comment, like, share it with someone that you love. It may seem like an impossible task, but those that are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do.